This year, Hosteling International USA lost two of its most dedicated and beloved founding members, Ruth and Bill Nelson. Theirs is a love story, love for each other, love of family, and a lasting love for hosteling. It was through American Youth Hostels that they met, and in return, they dedicated a lifetime of service.
I'm Bill. That's my wife, Ruth. We've been married a long time, since 1945, and we're both from Morris, Connecticut. Well, I go back to the very beginning of the American Youth Hostels.
The beginning for Bill was 1934, when he joined a student trip to Europe with Isabel and Monroe Smith, who had just founded American Youth Hostels that year. Round-trip passage by steamship, bicycling for 3 months, and staying in hostels for $290. Not much money by today's standards, perhaps, but a considerable sum during the Great Depression.
So we went to the first hostel ever in the world in Kassel, Altona, Germany. And for a country boy like me, I said, wow. And we met there the man who founded the youth hostel movement, Richard Sherman. He took his boys and girls on trips, and they would stay overnight in schoolhouses, because he was a school teacher and he understood this. Well, that's in the whole summer. We spent biking, cycling through Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Holland.
At the end of the summer, Bill and the Smiths parted ways, but it was not long before they would cross paths again.
Isabel and Monroe, every year after they'd come back from Europe, they'd have these movies that they'd taken, and they'd go across country, and they would present hosteling, the story of hosteling. I was invited to this dinner for Isabel and Monroe, and during the dinner they said to me, Bill, how would you like to work for the American Youth Hostels with the national staff at Northfield, Massachusetts, more than anything else in the world?
Bill began working at AYH headquarters in Northfield, Massachusetts in 1936. Initially, he led youth groups on tours, including a unique hostel on wheels.
A rolling youth hostel. We took the train and went north to Montreal, and there the Canadian National Railroad Company gave us a car, a railroad car. It was the kind that it used to move colonists out to the western wheat fields. And it had bunks in it, the lower seat shoved together. Bunks came down from the ceiling. We had a little kitchen at one end of the car, washing and toilet facilities at each end of the car. One end for boys, one end for girls.
A few years later, a lovely young Ruth Kimball joined the AYH staff.
In 1940, I went to Northfield as sort of local seasonal help. I loved being there. I actually was filing clerk. I got to know everyone on the staff, and Monroe and Isabel, and of course I fell under their charm, and so I took the training course that summer.
Bill noticed Ruth right away, and it wasn't long before Ruth noticed Bill as well. Soon after, a lifelong love affair was forged, and in 1945, Ruth married Bill, just as he was going off to war. They kept up a close correspondence during those war years, and also later, when Bill would be away working and traveling for AYH. While Bill was off building the AYH organization, Ruth was home raising their 4 daughters. In 1955, they moved from Massachusetts to Bantam Lake, Connecticut, where they started a 40-bed youth hostel. Ruth was in charge of running the hostel, while Bill spent all week in New York at AYH headquarters. Ruth and Bill remained as house parents at Bantam Lake for 15 years. Years later, the Bill and Ruth Nelson Award for Excellence in Hostel Management was named for them. in tribute to their renowned warmth and hospitality. Bill took great pride in telling acquaintances that he held every position at AYH except executive director. "I didn't want that one," Bill joked. For many years, Bill used his knowledge and many talents training and inspiring hostel managers and trip leaders. A natural-born storyteller, Bill imparted the history and spirit of hosteling to each of his trainees. His dedication, wit, and charm are fondly remembered by all. Bill and Ruth each received the Isabel and Monroe Smith Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award for influencing hosteling at the local, regional, and national levels. It is HIUSA's highest honor. Bill raised money annually for hosteling by passing the hat, the talking hat that is, his hand-typed, heartfelt annual newsletter. Ruth and Bill also headed up a small, dedicated group of old-time AYH leaders known as the Hosteling Friends Steering Committee, and they graced us with their presence at almost every National Council meeting, continuing to inspire HIUSA leaders, young and old, to give hosteling their all, as Ruth and Bill had done over nearly 8 decades. Bill and Ruth continued to dedicate their lives to hosteling as volunteers until their passing in May 2010, when they died within days of each other, together until the end. Ruth and Bill Nelson touched thousands of us with their joyful presence and their enduring love of hosteling. They were cherished pioneers and contributors to a fledgling movement and will long be remembered.